Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. Tony, a damaged Honus Wagner baseball card sold for $1.4 million.
I'm Tony Kornheiser. Good old Wags. We played T-ball together.
Yeah, I don't think
Like
120 years ago you were.
So we were in the infield, and around the horn went Honus to Tony to UB. UB was on that team with me. That's good, isn't it?
$1.4 million. Seriously.
It's a lot of money.
We should have kept our baseball cards. We should have. Should have paid attention.
We wouldn't have gotten that much money. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, more COVID cases in the NFL. Wisconsin cancels another game, and the NHL tries to figure out next season. But we begin today with the New York Football Giants again being the nemesis of Tom Brady, as they were so many times when he was in New England. Last night, Brady had Tampa Bay up 25-17 with 3:40 to go. The Giants then scored with 28 seconds left and, of course, went for two to tie. A flag was thrown for pass interference in the end zone and then picked up. No conversion, no additional snap. Wilbon, did the refs do the right thing picking up the flag?
I don't know if they did the right thing, Tony. You can argue this either way. It's a difficult call. It's a close call. You know, we both looked at it a million times. I saw it live, and live I am screaming out loud in my house, pass interference, pass interference. And the flag comes late, but the official down the line, down the goal line, it seems, toward the pylon, didn't throw it. And so, you know, then you figure, okay, they're going to discuss this, and this is going to come out in favor of the Golden Boy. There's no question about it. No matter what uniform he's wearing, the officials are going to pick this up and call it in favor of the Golden Boy, and they did. Do I think the Giants got hosed? No. Do I think the officials got it right? Not necessarily. But Danny Dimes, and that's, for the most part of the game, that's about what he was worth, was Dimes. And I know he threw that last great touchdown pass, but Tony, he missed so many passes. I can't say give him another chance. He has to have one. No, enough.
There's so much that you talked about there. Let me take one at a time.
Okay.
Let me start with the interference call or non-call. This was not like the Rams and the Saints where a guy got clobbered and a team went to the Super Bowl and everybody said, what's going on here?
That's right.
In my eyes, the ball hits the defender's right arm as it's coming into the receiver.
So you think it's instantaneous?
I thought it was simultaneous. Yeah, I did not think that was interference in terms of Brady getting the call. Yeah, Brady got the call. But, I mean, I'm watching Brady last night. Just statistically, here's Brady, 28 out of 40 for 279, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, finds Gronkowski.
Yeah.
Again, he had a good game.
Yeah.
So if you ask yourself, for example, why is Tampa Bay so much better this year than last year? Brady has 20 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, on pace for 8. Last year, the guy had 30. So they're better. If you want to, you can go wild on Daniel Jones if you want. I'm not going to argue the big number here, Mike. 35 turnovers in 20 career starts, right?
Tony, last night he had 2 turnovers that killed his team's chances. And they were the mistakes that Louis Riddick, doing the broadcast, I mean, he and Greasy, they were like, oh my God, how many times are you going to make that mistake? And I found myself thinking the same thing. Look, he's got a lot of talent, and I'm intrigued by him. He's got a lot of talent, seems to be a smart kid, but he makes some of the dumbest turnovers that you've seen. And he's been out there long enough to start to limit them. Yeah,
I mean, luckily for him, he had a moral victory last night. He didn't have any fumbles lost, you know, but he also, that's a great pass to take and a great catch. And he has a couple of fourth down things like Eli Manning used to do to Brady.
I know.
So he had those. Yeah. I don't know.
Jury's still out, as they say. Yep. The NFL may invite half its teams into the playoffs. The postseason has already been increased from 12 to 14 teams this season. And now the Washington Post reports the NFL is considering adding 2 more teams to the playoffs if the league loses regular season games to the pandemic. That would mean 16 of the 32 play on. Tony, would you be okay with that? And what does it tell you that the NFL is pondering this possibility?
So just to set the record straight, that is a lower percentage of playoff teams than in the NBA and the NHL. You know, it's too high for me, generally speaking. I mean, I don't understand the reasoning for this. To me, in the NFL, you can kick the can down the road.
That's
you
right.
can make sure that everybody's played 12 or 14 or 16. You can just keep waiting. But if you want to have playoffs like this, if you looked at it in baseball and you said, I like it, it works, and you want to eliminate first-round buys, I'm okay with that for this year, although baseball's going to obviously keep it forever. Just be honest. Just say there's more money in this, and that's why we're doing it, and then I'm okay.
Yeah, otherwise, doesn't it seem to be just sort of fear-mongering to you? That it's like, oh, my God, if we lose these games, if we can't do this, if we can't do that. And I've been, look, there's a lot of traffic with the pandemic and positive testing, who's going to be negative, and who do you have to put away for tracing, for contact, potentially. And they seem to be doing, I don't know, a pretty damn good job, Tony, of sort of monitoring it and limiting this from where we sat in the summer. And I understand, okay, we're worried. But just to sort of trot 16 out, you just took it up to 14. Presumably it went up to 14 because you're in a pandemic, and now 16. Yeah, just tell the truth. Stop lying. Just tell the truth.
Yeah.
More money is involved. And 16 out of 32, Tony, it takes away the high ground for the NFL that always said fewer of our teams get to the playoffs. Now it's 16 to 32 as opposed to the other sports 16 to 30.
Yeah, 16 or 31. I mean, baseball still had the fewest, and now they're going to expand it as well because it's where the money is. I'm looking this year at the AFC. I wrote these down. The AFC is going to have no problem because they got Baltimore and Pittsburgh, Tennessee and Indianapolis, Kansas City and Vegas, Buffalo, maybe Miami or Cleveland. They got teams with winning records. You go across the street to the NFC, and you don't necessarily have that. You've got Tampa Bay and New Orleans, no problem, and Seattle and maybe some other teams out there. But in the East, you're not going to find anybody that's got a winning record. And in your division, if Chicago
Continues
falls,
to tank,
it's only going to be Green Bay.
It's often only Green Bay anyway. That's no news there.
Yeah.
They don't need 16. They don't. They can't leave well enough alone. They got the perfect product, and they can't stand that. They got to just greed. Let's call it what it is.
Well, I think all the leagues are greedy.
They are.
In fact, we're moving to a story about that.
Okay.
There's a story about greed as well. And understandable. We move now to an ESPN story saying a few owners have suggested to Gary Bettman to cancel the NHL season if there are no fans in the stands. The TV money in hockey isn't nearly what it is in basketball, where networks compete to show it. The owners need the gate. They need concession money. Bettman responded that the NHL cannot afford to cancel. Wilbon, does no season make any sense to you?
No. And it didn't make any sense a few years ago when they didn't come back and they had no postseason. I mean, that was stupid, and I thought that hurt the product long term. And depending on who you talk to, you can get agreement or disagreement within sort of the industry about how much it hurt. But, Tony, no. Because what we're seeing now is that if people are dislodged from their scheduling habits, meaning viewing habits, they may be dislodged permanently. Or sort of, it's not exactly temporary. They can be dislodged for a while without appointment viewing. Does the NHL want to risk that? I mean, doesn't it seem very cavalier to you that even a small cadre of owners would be serious about that strategically?
So this is a very odd story to me for a personal reason. When you were going to be on my podcast on Monday, I prepared some questions. And one of the questions I was going to ask you about was about the December 22nd start of the NBA. And as I wrote that down, I said, you know what? Hockey starts by now. Right. We haven't heard anything about hockey. We don't know if there's a schedule. So I'm grateful to find out that this is essentially what's going on.
Yeah.
I understand if you're an owner and you can't make any money at all, that you're reluctant to go in without any fans. The solutions, I guess, I mean, it was put in my ear earlier today, there'd be a Canadian division, because Canada, there's no fans for anything.
I think that's a part of the problem.
So then you have the other divisions, and you make it sort of like baseball, where it's just geographic, and maybe you play 3 games in a row, and you cut down on the travel. Here's my actual solution to this, Mike.
What?
Is you sort of shelter in place, and when they're ready to go, you sprint for 40 games, and then you do the playoffs with the bubbles again, like this year.
Okay, I find that better than no season at all, which I find, again, I want to hear those owners attach their names to that. Let's see how that works in their community. Of course, they won't do that. But, Tony, the Canada problem is a bigger problem. Because in baseball, it was one team. You put Toronto wherever you put them, in New Jersey or Buffalo, whatever you do, and then nobody even noticed. Okay, it's one team. There's 7 teams in the NHL in Canada. It's a Canadian sport. Don't tell me that we got to have Canada segregated. Of course, everybody wants to segregate from us right now, but don't tell me we have to segregate Canada.
Again, Mike, Canada has a coherent national policy about the virus, and we don't. And we don't.
We're the ones being segregated, of course, and understandably so.
Let's take a break, but coming up, Wisconsin in your conference cancels this weekend's game with Purdue. What does that mean for the 10th-ranked team?
Speaking of segregation, Holmes, where does it leave the Big Ten as a conference? We got them November 21st. They're supposed to play the Northwestern University.
You're going to end up winning because you'll be able to play all your games.
We got to beat Nebraska this week.
One more headline. It's not a good one for the Big Ten. Wisconsin announced the cancellation of this weekend's home game with Purdue due to more positive COVID tests. 3 staff and 2 players have tested positive since Saturday, making 27 total within the program, including 15 players since October 24th. The 10th-ranked Badgers are now down 2 games to just 6. Losing 1 more could eliminate them from conference championship consideration. Wilbon, where does this leave Wisconsin in the Big Ten?
Well, Tony, I don't know that the Big Ten is not jolted necessarily, because let's face it, the Big Ten's premier team is in the other division, the Eastern Division, Ohio State. And even though the next one is Michigan, and Michigan's not any good anymore, you got Ohio State, Michigan, you Penn State, they're in the East. But Wisconsin is in the West with Northwestern, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, Minnesota, Purdue. I care immensely about this because it affects perhaps my team. We're supposed to play Wisconsin on the 21st of November. When is Wisconsin ready, Tony? So how does it affect that half of the conference? Immeasurably, because you've got to play enough games. So right now it's 6 of the 8. We don't know if Wisconsin can get there. We don't know if they can play next week. Their scheduled game against Michigan. Massive uncertainty. And you got 27 kids, at least, who have tested positive.
So I don't have my feet in the conference like you do. I didn't go there. So, I have a different view of this thing, how it affects the Big Ten. Look, the Big Ten started out by saying, we're not going to play any football at all. We're going to care about the safety of our kids. And then they said, okay, we're going to play football, but we're going to put these protocols in place. 21 days you have to sit out. If you don't play a game, the game is canceled, not postponed. You got to play 6 or you can't be eligible for the conference championship. These are their rules.
Yeah.
If they want to change the rules, they can, because these are their rules. They can do whatever they want. I agree with you that you want to keep Ohio State good because Ohio State is the best team right now and looks like the team for the playoffs. In terms of what it does to Wisconsin, I have a different question, Mike. If Purdue loses a game and Nebraska loses a game, not their fault. If they lose a couple of other games and it's not their fault, they're eliminated. Is that fair? Is there a contingency plan?
I don't know what is fair, and I'm not sure yet what contingency is. By the way, I said 27 players. 27 players, coach, staff.
27 people.
27
people in the program.
Tony, you raised very legitimate questions. Now, part of that is going to be, was there a head-to-head? Well, Wisconsin's only played 1 game so far.
1 time.
So they haven't gotten much in the way. They just missed the game against Nebraska, a division opponent. So we don't know. We don't
change the rule, Mike.
What do you want to change?
Change the rule.
Which
Go
one?
down from 6. Go down from 6.
I don't want to.
And make people eligible. Change the rule.
I don't want to go down from 6 yet. What about the people who maybe followed the rules better than Wisconsin, if that is the case?
We don't know that.
Well, but you got conference people who have to investigate.
It's a college campus. College campuses are filled with the virus.
They are.
Again,
they are.
Stay in your attic, kids. Stay there for months. Let's take one last break, but still to come. Mike Trout doesn't make the top 3 in the AL MVP voting. Is that fair? Sure it is.
Mississippi State star Kylan Hill makes a decision about his future. I don't want to start dropping games yet.
Well,
I don't. Not yet.
What if Northwestern misses 2?
Well, then I'll start wanting to drop games. I mean, come on
exactly
now.
Right. Yeah, of course you will.
This is self-preservation, Holmes.
Happy time, people. Happy 65th birthday, Phil Simms. People have seen him on television talking about football for so long, they may have forgotten what a good quarterback he was. Simms was drafted number 7 overall in 1979 by the Giants out of Morehead State in Kentucky, which is not exactly LSU. His best season was 1986 when he was first-team All-Pro, and he and Bill Parcells won the first of their 2 Super Bowls. Simms completed 22 of 25 passes against Denver, setting a record for completion percentage, and he was named MVP. He was still a Giants starter in 1990 when they again won the Super Bowl, but Simms hurt his foot and gave way to Jeff Hostetler in the playoffs. For his career, Simms had 199 touchdown passes and 157 interceptions. When he retired after the 1993 season, after 14 seasons there, the Giants retired Simms' number 11 jersey. He went comfortably into broadcasting with ESPN, then NBC, and for years teamed with Jim Nantz as CBS's lead announcers. When Tony Romo walked into that booth, Simms slid over to the pregame show. His son Chris, also a quarterback, has followed the old man into broadcasting and works at NBC.
Tony, let me take this opportunity to thank Phil Simms. And I know you're going to agree and give an amen to where I'm going with this. For his entire career, you and I were covering, because of the Washington football team for the Washington Post, the NFC East. How many afternoons and prime time after Monday nights do we stand in front of Phil Simms' locker, delaying him, peppering him with questions, and getting stories from one of the most cooperative players in sports that we have ever covered? Do I get an amen on that?
Well, all true, and then I referred to him in the paper all the time as a blonde hosehead.
You did. He still talked to you the next week. He shouldn't talk to you.
He was nice.
He shouldn't talk to me.
He's nicer than I am.
Phil's great.
Happy anniversary, Nick Foles. On this day 7 years ago, Foles tied an NFL record by throwing 7 touchdown passes in an Eagles blowout win over Oakland. This was one of those great games Foles had for the Eagles, like when he was MVP of the Super Bowl, that create the mythology that Foles is a great quarterback. But Foles seems to only have these games for the Eagles. In 2013, Foles had 27 touchdowns and 2 picks in Philadelphia, which is tremendous. He was 15-9 as a starter there, but he was 4-7 as a starter in St. Louis in 2015. In 2016, he backed up Alex Smith in Kansas City. Then he returned to Philadelphia for the Super Bowl magic. And when the Eagles decided they preferred Carson Wentz, not Foles, Jacksonville paid Foles a ton of money to go there. They couldn't wait to get rid of him when he went 0-4 as a starter. Matt Nagy, your boy, who coached Foles in Kansas City and Philadelphia, brought him to Chicago because he had no particular faith in Mitch Trubisky. Nagy put Foles into start in Game 4, and he's still there. The Bears are 2-3 with Foles starting because the magic is in the green helmet.
Clearly, Tony. I mean, we've seen enough now. He can't protect the ball. He's got to take care of the ball. It's one of the reasons why you want Foles out there and not Trubisky. I'm ready to go back to Trubisky. When I see number 9 in a Bears uniform, I want Jim McMahon, who looks fit enough right now to go out there and put the uniform and be better than anybody else who could wear number 9. Foles, he's giving it his best. I understand Nagy doesn't want to coach Trubisky, but that's what the team needs right now.
Happy trails to Mike Trout as an AL MVP finalist. Trout, a 3-time MVP, 4-time runner-up in the last 8 seasons, was not among the 3 finalists for this year's AL award, despite 17 homers and 46 RBI in 53 games. The 3 finalists are Jose Abreu of the White Sox, DJ LeMahieu of the Yankees, and Jose Ramirez of Cleveland. The National League finalists are Mookie Betts of the Dodgers, Freddie Freeman of the Braves, and Manny Machado of the Padres. Should Betts win, he would join Frank Robinson as the only players to win MVP awards in both leagues.
That's a wow.
Cy Young finalists in the National League are Trevor Bauer of Cincinnati, Jacob deGrom of the Mets, who's won the last 2 years, and Yu Darvish of the Cubs. In the American League, it is Shane Bieber of Cleveland, Kenta Maeda of Minnesota, and Yoon Jin Ryu of Toronto. Ironically, in the year the Dodgers won the World Series, Darvish, Maeda, and Ryu are all recent former Dodgers.
The MVP in the National League is Freddie Freeman. The MVP in the American League, it's Jose Abreu. 317, 19 homers, and 60 RBI. Power numbers in a real ballpark, not Yankee Stadium. Bieber is the AL Cy Young Award winner. Don't want to hear any discussion. And you can have Bauer or Darvish. I'll go with either one of them in the National League, Tony. That would be how my ballot looks. And Mookie, his postseason was more dramatic than his regular season.
I would go with Bauer just because he was willing to pitch on 2 days rest and stuff like that. He bet on himself and he won. He's a free agent, going to make a lot of money. Let's go to the big finish. Mississippi State running back Kylan Hill opted out of the rest of this season and declared for the draft. Your thoughts on this?
Tony, his family has been hit really hard by COVID. I understand why he's making this decision. The NFL fined Juju Smith-Schuster and James Conner $5,000 apiece for wearing their socks too low. Please don't try to tell me this makes sense.
No, I'm just going to say the NFL does this all the time. They just take away everybody's freedom of expression, and everybody knows that. The Ringer reports that the Celtics are trying to package together their 3 first-rounders to move up in the draft. Do you like their chances?
No, the Celtics don't need anything from the draft this year or next year. They may need a veteran big man, but they don't need any youngsters. No, I don't get that. Let their guys play better that they have, their stars. Broncos linebacker Von Miller says he'll be back from his ankle injury in a week, 3 weeks to a month. Doesn't that surprise you?
No, he's tough. He's a great athlete. Last one, Champions League again today. Go ahead,
Shakhtar went down at home 6-0 to Bundesliga power Borussia Mönchengladbach. Come on, say it with me.
Tremendous.
Come on.
We're out of time. Try and do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. You can get the podcast on the app or Apple Podcasts. And now, here's SportsCenter.